urge Education Ministry to adopt local languages in schools. Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics to embark on strike next week. NNPC Limited delivers Port Harcourt refinery as plant begins truck out of products. House of Representatives call for reliable data to improve access to affordable housing. On the foreign scene, council leader of Wolverhampton City says housing market broken will begin with national matters. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) on the successful revitalization of the Port Harcourt refinery and official commencement of petroleum product loading. Tinubu, who acknowledged the role of former President Muhammadu Buhari in initiating the comprehensive rehabilitation of the refinery and others across the country, expressed gratitude to the African Export-Import Bank for its confidence in financing the project. In a statement that Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, issued on his behalf, Tinubu commended the leadership of NNPC Limited's Group Chief Executive Officer, Mele Kyari, whose unwavering dedication and commitment were instrumental in overcoming challenges to achieve this milestone. Tinubu urged NNPCL to expedite the scheduled reactivation of both the second Port Harcourt refinery and the Warri and Kaduna refineries. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has fulfilled its pledge of restreaming the Port Harcourt Refining Company, signaling the commencement of crude oil processing from the plant and delivery of petroleum products into the market. On Tuesday, trucks began loading petroleum products, which include premium motor spirit PMS, also known as petrol, automotive gas oil, AGO, also known as diesel, and household kerosene, while other products slates will be dispatched as well. Speaking during a brief ceremony to mark the commencement of product loading at the refinery in Port Harcourt, the group CEO Mele Kyari described the commencement of the load-out activities as a monumental achievement for Nigeria, which signifies a new era of energy independence and economic growth for the country. Now, the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnic, ASUP, will embark on an indefinite strike on Monday, 2nd December 2024. The chairman of the union, Kaduna Polytechnic Chapter, Abubakar Abdullahi, mentioned these during its Congress meeting in Kaduna. The ASUP chairman, while expressing dismay with the development, mentioned that the resolution was reached as a result of the elapsing of the ultimatum the union issued recently to the federal government. The union's chairman said they have no option but to shut down all the institutions from Monday next week.
As we pass the deadline of this ultimatum, we are yet to see the necessary actions from the federal government to address these pressing demands. Ladies and gentlemen, the silence and inaction have left us with no option but to consider the possibility of a total shutdown of our various institutions. Scheduled to hold December 2nd, 2024, should our concerns remain unaddressed. This decision is not made lightly. Our commitment to the students and their educational journey remains paramount to our hearts. However, we must unequivocally affirm that the survival and quality of our educational system hinges upon the government's responsiveness to our needs and demand. We believe that a strong education sector is vital for the future of our nation.
Abdullahi highlighted the demands, which are the swift release of the second tranche of the Needs Assessment Intervention Fund, the yet-to-be-released scheme of service and condition of service across all polytechnics, amongst others. Now, the newly re-elected Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa and his deputy Oluyide Adelami on Tuesday presented their certificates of return to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. Aiyedatiwa expressed gratitude to President Tinubu for his support and for ensuring a level playing field during the state election. Accompanied by the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress ABC, Abdullahi Ganduje, and Ekiti State Governor Biodun Ayebanji, Aiyedatiwa praised the APC's sweeping victory across all 18 local government areas in the state. Ex-Rivers agitators under the aegis of Rivers State Ex-Agitators Network for Development have commended Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited and its executive director, Mr. Osahon Okubo, for securing the nation's crude oil pipelines across the Niger Delta region. The president of the group, Henry Itazi, made these commendations during a press conference in Abuja on Tuesday. It also commended President Bola Tinubu and the group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Mili Kyari, for the decision to continuously engage the company in protecting the nation's critical assets, which play a pivotal role in boosting Nigerians' crude oil production quantum.
By fortifying and securing the pipelines, PINL has not only safeguarded the nation's most valuable natural resources, but has also positively influenced Nigerian crude oil production capacity. The reduction in pipeline breaches has directly contributed to the increase in production, allowing the country to recover much-needed production volumes. PINL's strategy approach to pipeline security has been instrumental in bringing stability to the oil sector, ensuring that Nigerians' crude oil outputs continue to rise steadily.
Itazi says the company's expertise in protecting the nation's crude oil pipelines, which have been under serious attack by vandals, has resulted in an increase in the nation's production output.
PINL is fully committed to eradicating illegal refining and oil theft in Nigeria. This commitment is practically demonstrated through their consistent drive, which has led to the dismantling of over 500 illegal oil bunkering flashpoints across Cross River, Abia, Rivers, and other oil-producing states, collectively referred to as the Niger Delta. These efforts serve as a testimonial to their resolute commitment to restore dignity to the Nigerian energy sector and strengthen its overall integrity.
The group further urged President Bola Tinubu to maintain his patronage of Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited for its crucial role in Nigerians' ongoing efforts to enhance energy security, promotion of economic growth, and the nation's drive towards greater self-sufficiency in its energy needs of the country. Now to the Senate, where President Bola Tinubu has written to the Senate seeking to confirm the appointment of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as Chief of Army Staff. Oluyede has been serving in an acting capacity since his appointment on October 30th. Tinubu's request is contained in a letter read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during plenary on Tuesday. Tinubu said Oluyede's confirmation is under the provisions of Section 218, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended and Section 18, subsection 1 of the Armed Forces Act.
Confirmation of appointment of Lieutenant General O.O. Oluyede as Chief of Army Staff. In accordance with the provisions of Section 218, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and Section 18, subsection 1 of the Armed Forces Act, I am pleased to forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Lieutenant General Oluyede as the Chief of Army Staff of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Lieutenant General O.O. Oluyede has been serving diligently in an acting capacity since his appointment.
The request was then referred to the Senate Committee on Army to screen and present the report to the whole committee for further action as soon as practicable. Now, the House of Representatives has urged the Federal Ministry of Education to commence a pilot program in selected schools across various states to assess the feasibility and benefits of utilizing local languages as a medium of teaching. This directive is in sequel to a motion titled promoting local languages as medium of instruction in primary and junior secondary schools in Nigeria, raised during plenary by Honorable Kalejayi Paul, member representing Ajeromi and Felodun Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Honorable Paul noted that Nigerian boasts of an extraordinary linguistic diversity, reflecting the rich culture tapestry of the nation, and stating that teaching in one's mother tongue often leads to stronger teacher-student connections as it creates a conducive learning environment and positive classroom dynamics.
Aware that the use of local language will lead to strengthening the teacher-students connectivity. Also aware that promoting the use of our local language in our teaching instruction will also enhance the mother tongue, which of course is going into extinction. Further aware that engaging in the local communities in education, especially in the process, will encourage the community participation in teaching and learning.
The House adopted the motion without debate and mandated its Committee on Basic Education and Services and Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance and report within 4 weeks for further legislative action. And also at plenary, the House passed for a second reading a bill for an act to repeal the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act 2004 and enact the Ministry of Finance Incorporated. The bill was sponsored by Honorable Ademo Rinkuye, a member representing Somolu Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Now, the 27 members of the House of Assembly, led by Speaker Martin Amiewule, have commenced the repeal of the 1999 Commission of Inquiry Law Cap 30 of the Old Rivers State. The legislative process was initiated by the lawmakers following the decision of the state government to set up a judicial commission of inquiry to probe the arson and destruction of the local government secretariats during the post-election violence. The commission had invited the Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike and the All Progressive Congress APC caretaker chairman Tony Okocha, but both the minister and party chairman have shunned the panel. The bill was sponsored by the trio of the Deputy Speaker Dumli Miao, member representing Akuku Toru Constituency 2, Lolo Opwende, and the member representing Omuma Constituency, Sylvanus Owankwo. Leading the debate on the bill, Owankwo said obsolete laws were repealed and reenacted to reflect current democratic realities.
Mr. Speaker, we are seeking to repeal this law and to re-enact the Rivers State Commissions of Inquiry Law for the holding of commissions of inquiry and for other matters related thereto. Mr. Speaker, fellow colleagues, the bill in question is brought pursuant to the inherent powers of this Honorable House and as enshrined in sections 100, sections 5, subsection 2A, and section 128 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as altered and amended.
Other lawmakers who contributed to the bill said it will strengthen the principle of separation of powers and democratic ethics in the state.
Mr. Speaker, at the time this law was made, remember that there was no actual functional democracy. We did not have the democratic principle of separation of powers, where we had an independent legislature, an independent judiciary, and an independent executive arm. The executive was practically doing the job of the legislature and, of course, of the judiciary in most cases. Today, we have a functional democracy with tripartite arms of government. 3 arms of government, the executive, the judiciary, the legislature, doing what they are supposed to do. If we continue to go by this law, Mr. Speaker, it means that we as a legislature are not recognizing the principles of separation of power and, of course, the doctrine of checks and balances.
I am particularly happy, Mr. Speaker, that this bill will bring us out from the archaic age to the present age, making us one of the legislatures in the states around the country who are trying to upgrade obsolete laws, making laws that are in tune with modern-day realities.
The Speaker, Amiewule, said the bill will make provisions for a tripartite engagement between the Governor, the Assembly and the Commissions to be set up so that powers donated by the Assembly were not abused by any individual.
We can have a brand new law for Rivers State, one that reflects separation of powers, one that will pave way for an independent commission of inquiry that will do their job and come up with something that will be good for this state whenever they are given that task. And the good thing is that there is a clause in this bill that calls on the governor to reach out to the Assembly whenever the commission of inquiry makes their recommendations, and that the governor should not go ahead to on his own begin to implement all that any commission of inquiry may ask him to do. So what this bill seeks to do is to ensure that the tripartite touch between the commission and the governor and as well as the Assembly is ensured for the interest of the good people of Rivers State.
The bill was subsequently committed to the House Committee on Judiciary for further legislative scrutiny. We take a pause here to bring you stories from the build sector. Stay with us.
Hey Africa, ready to crown the champions of housing? Time for Africa Housing Award. Who's got the best design, the greatest home, the most affordable spaces? You decide. Nominate your favorites and let's shine the spotlight on the best in African housing. Whether it's a big brand, a bold project, or a fresh idea, we want to hear from you. So go on, show some love. Nominate now. Head on to AfricaHousingAwards.com and nominate your picks today. Let's celebrate those changing the game in African housing.
Glad to have you join us back in Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Moving on to the build sector. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to provide scientific, verifiable data on the housing deficit and improve access to affordable housing nationwide. This resolution was reached during Tuesday's plenary following the adoption of a motion titled Provision of Affordable Housing in Nigeria, sponsored by Emmanuel Upong Udo, the representative for Ikono Ini Federal Constituency in Akwa Ibom State. Upong Udo stressed the critical role of data in planning and executing government projects. The House, presided over by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, mandated its Committee on Housing and Habitat to collaborate with the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development to ensure credible scientific data is available and accessible. In Onitsha, Anambra State, over 4,000 displaced traders and sand workers in the state have accused the local government of selling demolished land to the highest bidders. The traders, whose structures in the Indende community along Niger Street were demolished in March, allege that Onitsha South local government area authorities have been reallocating the land for financial gain. The victims are calling on the Anambra State Police Commissioner and other officials to intervene to prevent a potential breakdown of law and order. Now to Ogun State, where the House of Assembly has passed a resolution summoning Dangote Cement Company to present the master plan for its Ibese plant in Yewa North local government area. This action, taken on Tuesday, follows a report by the Joint Committees on Trade, Commerce and Investment and Environment. The report addressed issues of environmental degradation, haphazard parking and other concerns linked to the plant's operations. The Assembly emphasized the need for the master plan to include a trailer park and industrial drainage channel aligning with international standards. It also urged Dangote Cement to enhance its corporate social responsibility efforts in affected communities. In Ebonyi State, the state governor Francis Iwunfuru has suspended 2 commissioners, Moses Okuma, Health, and Francis Ori, Housing and Urban Development, over alleged gross misconduct. The suspension, announced during Monday's Executive Council meeting, was confirmed by Commissioner for Information Jude Okbo. Ori's suspension is indefinite, while Okuma faces a 3-month suspension. Additionally, the Permanent Secretary of the Health Ministry and Executive Secretaries of the Primary Health Care Development and Health Insurance Agencies were directed to proceed on 3-month suspensions. Now to wrap up Housing TV news at the top of the hour. On the foreign scene, the leader of Wolverhampton's local authorities, Stephen Simpkins, has described the city's housing market as completely broken, calling for a mass build to address the issue. Simpkins attributed the crisis to depleted council housing stock due to the 1980s Right to Buy scheme. He welcomed the UK government's commitment to building 1.5 million new homes over the next 5 years, supported by planning reforms and green belt land releases. Simpkins noted that housing remains his biggest concern, highlighting plans to prioritize brownfield sites and push for more social and affordable housing developments. Now, that's the much we can take and Housing TV news at the top of the hour. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. President Tinubu celebrates the revival of the Port Harcourt refinery, directs NNPC Limited to promptly reactivate Warri and Kaduna refineries. Senate receives Tinubu's letter seeking confirmation of Oluyede as Chief of Army Staff. House of Representatives urge Education Ministry to adopt local languages in schools. Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics to embark on strike next week. NNPC Limited delivers Port Harcourt refinery as plant begins truck out of product. House of Representatives call for reliable data to improve access to affordable housing. And on the foreign scene, we saw council leader of Wolverhampton City says housing market broken. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. Do not forget to download the Housing TV Africa mobile app on Google Play Store and Apple Store to stay connected. I am Mimana Bagudu. Bye for now.